Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let us continue our discussion about the great Puri Jagannath temple. In the previous episode, we heard about some very interesting facts about the Puri city and the Jagannath temple. In this episode, we are going to discuss about the Sthala Purana, the history of the temple and the history of the town of Puri. Jagannath temple, it is said that it is constructed somewhere in the 11th century and got completed in the 12th century. The temple that was there prior to that was constructed by a king named Indradyumna. Today we are going to hear the story of Indradyumna and how he established the temple of Puri Jagannath. Long time ago, there used to be a tribal king named Vishwavasa. He used to be a great devotee of a deity named Nilamadhava. He used to have the murtis of Nilamadhava, and all his clan, they used to pray to this deity Nilamadhava. But nobody other than his community knew about the god. Nobody knew the whereabouts of where the god murtis were and where to worship that god. So the word spread that this Nilamadhava is a very, very powerful god, and the king of that area, Indradyumna, he heard about this god Nilamadhava, and he wanted to know and learn more about Nilamadhava. And he himself was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, so he also wanted to offer his prayers to Nilamadhava. Since this was a close community and only that tribe used to offer prayers to Nilamadhava, he had to deploy a plan. He sent a spy to get more information about this deity Nilamadhava and the whereabouts of this murti. So that spy, he smartly went into the community, he got mixed into the community, and eventually he fell in love with the daughter of the chief, Vishwavasa. So they both got married, and the young spy, he never forgot the objective of his mission. So he kept asking the details of Nilamadhava. And finally, Vishwavasa, he had to succumb to that pressure because it was his son-in-law. He kept asking the same question again and again. So finally, he agreed to show him the whereabouts of the deity, but on one condition. He said he's going to be blindfolded and he's going to be taken there, so he doesn't know the path or the way to the deity. So the smart son-in-law, what he did, he agreed to those terms, but he took some seeds along with him and he spread those seeds all through the path. So even though he was blindfolded, since he left a trail of seeds through the path, eventually in a few days, those seeds gave plants. So because of those plants, they knew the path to the deity. So the son-in-law, he gave all these details to the king. The king, with all his army and all his ministers, he followed those plans and he reached the place where the murtis were. But mysteriously, because all of this was done in a deceitful manner, the god Nilamadhava, he disappeared. The deities, the murtis where they were worshipping, those murtis got disappeared mysteriously. So you can imagine the disappointment of King Indradyumna. So he was really hoping to worship to Nilamadhava, but finally when he went there, the deities were disappeared and he didn't know what to do. So the king, he did not give up. He started doing prayers, he conducted a Aswamedha Yagam, he constructed a big temple for Narasimha Swami and he started praying there. He started doing fastings. So he started offering prayers in various manners. So God was very, very impressed by his dedication. So he gave darshan to the king Indradyumna in his dream. So in the dream, Lord Vishnu gave instructions to the king to go to the shore of Bay of Bengal. So as I told in the previous episode, the Puri, the city of Puri is on the shores of Bay of Bengal, so very close by. So Indradyumna was instructed by Lord Vishnu to go to the shores of Bay of Bengal, exactly the location and everything. And he told him that he will find some neem wood coming onto the shores. So that wood is very, very magical and divine. So he instructed the king to make murtis out of those wood and to construct a huge temple to offer prayers to those murtis. So as discussed in the previous episode, it is very, very unusual to make idols or murtis from wood, right? So Indradyumna, he got out of the dream. He immediately went to the shore. As per the instructions, he found this wood, amazing wood that came onto the shore. But his question now is, who will make murtis out of wood? He wants to find an architect who is capable of doing that. As he announced the big challenge, nobody would come front to make the murtis out of this wood. So finally, one person, he came up front and he said, I will make these murtis, but on one condition. I am going to do this task all by myself. And I do not want any interruptions for 21 days. I'm going to be locked inside a building. I'm going to construct them. But I don't want any interruptions by anybody. So the king immediately agreed to all his conditions. And that person, he started doing his work. The architect, he started building the murtis. Days were passing by and the king started growing more and more eager by the day. And his wife also got very curious and she started pressurizing the king to get a status update on where the murtis are and how far the architect came along. So the king, he had his men open those doors and he went inside against the rules of the contract. So as he went inside, the architect, he wasn't there anymore. He disappeared because the rules of the contract were not obeyed. And as he saw, the three murtis were done halfway. The Abhayahastam and the Varadahastam of the murtis were not complete. So immediately, Indradyumna Maharaja, he was really disappointed. He was frustrated. He was very, very sorry for the mistake that he's done. But what can he do? The architect is missing. So he prayed to Lord Brahma and he asked for a solution. He said, what do I do now? These murtis, they're missing their hands. So Lord Brahma, he was impressed by the prayers of Indradyumna. So he gave him darshan and he instructed him saying, these murtis will receive prayers as it is. So install them in the temple as they are, without the Abhayahastam and without the Varadahastam, and they will be worshipped as they are. And that will be another unique factor of these murtis and another unique factor of this great temple, the Puri Jagannath temple. So Indradyumna, what else does he need? He got confirmation from Lord Brahma himself. So he was very happy. So he continued with all the rituals of building the temple and installing the murtis. So since then, since the murtis are made with wood, every few years, those murtis get changed and the spiritual power of those murtis get installed into the new murtis. So that is the reason why we don't see the Abhayahastam and Varadahastam in the murtis of Puri Jagannath temple. And also another very interesting thing about these murtis are, if you see closely, they have very beautiful and big eyes. It is as if the Lord is looking upon us and the entire world with his beautiful big eyes, and he is casting his protection on all of us. That is the Sthala Purana, or the history of our beloved Jagannath temple. In the next episode, we are going to discuss about the sequence of events, the various events that happen during the 12 days of the Puri Jagannath Ratha Yatra. So until then, stay tuned and keep thinking about Lord Puri Jagannath and always receive his blessings. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Shri Gurubhyo Namah.